Now, one of the stories that we cover a lot here on the programme is the competition between the US and China. Well, that competition is now taking place on a new battleground: outer space. Today, a Chinese rocket was launched into orbit, taking 3 astronauts to China's space station. It's named Tiangong, which translates to Heavenly Palace. Well, one of the crew members on the Shenzhou 16 mission, Ge Haochao, is the first Chinese civilian to go into space. But he won't be the last, as there are sure to be as many more as China looks to grow its presence in space. So what does all of this mean for the United States and for NASA? I'm pleased to say that former NASA astronaut who was once commander on the International Space Station, that's Leroy Chiao, joins us now. Leroy, thank you for being with us. So much I want to talk to you about tonight, but talk to me first of all about the significance of China rejoining the space race. What does this mean?
China has been making slow and steady progress in their human spaceflight program since they first flew their first Chinese national astronaut, Yang Liwei, back in 2003. So here we are 20 years later. They're demonstrating that they can do space station operations, long duration flights. They've been doing it now for a little over 2 years. This is the 5th mission that is launched to their space station, a crew rotation. They've demonstrated they can do spacewalks, spacewalk assembly, and now they've launched their first scientist astronaut to the space station. So they're showing steady progress and an impressive operational tempo that they lacked in the early days of their program.
What will be the main focus of this mission? What are they hoping to achieve?
They're hoping to continue to show that they can smoothly conduct operations aboard a space station. It's been permanently crewed since it was finished built. They finished building it in 2021, and the addition of a science astronaut, that means that person's main job is going to be doing the actual investigations, the research work, while the other 2 astronauts will be helping with that. Their primary job will be to do the maintenance, the scheduled maintenance on the station, as well as to fix things that break down and make sure that everything is still working well.
And of course, China trying to play catch up with both the United States and Russia after maybe belatedly matching their milestones each and every time. Is there a chance for China to get ahead here?
Well, what China has done is shown that they can do the same things that NASA and NASA's partners have been doing aboard the International Space Station. Now, their station's a lot smaller. It's only about 20% the mass of the ISS, but still they're showing that they can maintain a crew on board and they can continue operations. And they're looking ahead. They've announced, I believe, with the timing of this launch, something that doesn't surprise any of us in the business, but they have formally said that they're going to launch their astronauts to the moon, to the surface of the moon, before 2030, before the end of 2030. So, depending on when NASA can get American astronauts back to the moon, they may actually be able to get there before we get there again. And so people might say, well, that's not a big deal because NASA went there first in 1969. True, but we haven't been back since 1972. And so, if they actually do get their astronauts there first, it will be a little bit of an upset of the status quo.
Leroy, what's it like up there?
Oh, it's it's fantastic. It's being in space is a little bit like being in a dream. I mean, you're working very hard, but then every now and then you have a moment to look out the window, or if you're out on a spacewalk, just to pause and look at the Earth and think, wow, I'm really up here. I'm really doing these kinds of things, and looking down at our planet. It's a really a surreal experience.
Would you want to go again?
I would love a chance to go to the moon. I've spent, a little over 229 days in orbit, so I feel like I've kind of done that. It's like eating a big meal. I'm not hungry again yet, but I would love a chance to go to the moon.
So blasé. It's been so good to talk to you. Leroy, thank you so much. Fascinating insight about how all of this works. Really, really good to talk to you. Thanks for being with us on the programme.